And there we are, a SEC championship game edition of TigerBait Live's postgame. And of course, we're brought to you by attorney Kenneth P. Haines. And LSU falls to the Bulldogs 50-30 in a game that, look, maybe there was some moments in there that you like Nussmeier coming in and slinging it down the field. But for the most part, this one was just, I hate the word humiliating. But there wasn't a whole lot of things about this one alike. If you saw Brian Kelly's post game, which we've got linked on TigerBait and on this YouTube channel right here, he was a little glossy-eyed. I don't know how emotional he got in the locker room before he came out to talk to the media. But this one, I think he took extra hard. You could see it at times on the sideline. And look, we knew Georgia was the better football team, and I think what a lot of people wanted was a little bit more competitive football game, and that missed field goal that was blocked in return for a touchdown, there's no excuse for that. And Brian Kelly said, that's on me. I take responsibility for that. But I assure you he's not taking sole responsibility, and I'd love to be a fly on the wall when he talks to one of his assistant coaches, and you know who I'm talking about. So we got a lot to talk about on this show tonight. Maybe you got tips than I do. Certainly we can sing out individual plays and who led in tackles and this and that, but totally outclassed, and Georgia deserves to be the SEC champs. So what say you, Preston?
Well, LSU, Georgia was the better football team. I picked LSU to win. I genuinely thought LSU was going to come out and give an A-plus football game, while Georgia might be sleeping, overlooking LSU. For a little while, it looked like that's what we were going to get. I mean, if you look after the first few drives, LSU forced them to a 3-and-out. LSU moved the ball, got 90 yards, kicked that field goal. I feel like the second they kicked that field goal, that game just turned upside down on its head. And then that just bizarre interception play, when you beat the number one team in the country, you need a few bounces to go your way to beat the number one team in the country. You just do. When those bounces go the other way against you, you're going to have a messy game on your hand, and that's exactly what we saw. It just got messy. I do wonder how much of a fight LSU would have put up had A, Jaden Daniels been healthy, B, had those mistakes not gone against you. Maybe we'd be talking about a close football game. We'll see. I do want to bring up, you brought up that field goal. And we've talked about special teams blunders, seems like every show this year. And it's been bad this year. I at this point, I don't see any way. The fans might run Brian Kelly out of town if he brings back Brian Polian at this point. But that is one play, undeniably. You could say a guy muffed a punt. That might just be because they don't have a guy who can catch punts. On this one, your players weren't paying attention. The whistle hadn't blown, and your players weren't spreading out to cover it.
And look,
that means you haven't practiced that scenario enough times. Straight up, that's coaching. Period.
Do they get to say that because there was a number of Georgia players who looked like they were unsure too, or do you think that was part of their sell job? I'm not buying that.
Look, I think the Georgia players were a little unaware too, but I'm going to tell you this.
They had somebody on the sideline telling them it was a live ball. You could see it.
Look, it's not, an advanced special teams play to know that when a kick is blocked or the returner catches a kick on a field goal formation, spread wide. That should be part of your football practice. If you've practiced that at all this year, then your players should just automatically react, blocked or whatever, spread wide. And look, no offense to Coach Polian, but your unit hasn't been great at blocking. You've already had two clicks blocked in your opener. You should have been practicing every possible scenario, what to do if a kick is blocked after game one. To get to the SEC championship and to have players not prepared to play for that, there's no excuse. I don't care if the Georgia players are buying, selling, whatever. Still play the ball. You haven't heard a whistle. There's no excuse. That's absolutely piss poor coaching.
I tell you what I want to know, and I brought this up in previous episodes. I want to know how many hours a week of actual practice time they spend on special teams. Because I don't think it's enough. I really don't. Whatever they're doing, it's not enough. And they've got to be a little bit more dedicated than they have been. So, yeah, he's. Let's get to some comments. We got a lot of people that are foaming at the mouth to get involved, and so let's get to some of these. Let's see. And by the way, if you're enjoying the show, hit that like button for us, guys. Absolutely. Nabil says, I feel bad for y'all, LSU. Nuss Bus Baby says music. Joshua Forbes in the house saying hello to Hal Jubin. And here we go. Barry Barbier, if Jaden Daniels returns next year, it's going to be chaos. Look, you guys have seen it. It's been all over the internet. I've had it for about 3 or 4 days, maybe longer, since early in the week, Monday or Tuesday. Rumors about Jack Best hitting the portal. I alluded to it on my show Wednesday night with Buddy. Upset wide receivers that think they might get in the portal if Jaden Daniels returns, just because the passes and the numbers are not there. And look, what does Nussmeier do? Ye threw a pick, and Ye had a fumble, a ball stripped for a fumble. But look how quickly the receivers got involved, and balls were coming downfield with some accuracy.
Well, he definitely fanned that fire tonight because the receivers balled out tonight. Malik Neighbors balled out with him. I mean, he was all over the place.
Here's the problem.
294.5. That has to be top 5 all time for a half, by the way, right?
Yeah, and here's the problem. As we say that, and we talk about the deficiencies of Jaden Daniels, without Jaden Daniels, LSU is 6-6 and not in this game.
No doubt.
So,
and look, maybe Nussmeier was good tonight. Maybe he's improved, but I do think that at the beginning of the season, he wasn't ready. It was very clear watching that Southern game. It kind of looked clear on his first pass. If we're being honest, that first pass was scary.
I really thought that there was a real good chance we were going to see Walker Howard tonight, because I know he got a lot of reps this week when Jaden was out. Despite what was said, I was told Jaden Daniels did not practice at all till Thursday. And even then, he was gimpy. So the majority of the reps were going to Nussmeier, and I'm told Walker Howard even got some reps with the ones. So had Nuss come in after that first throw when Jaden Daniels came back in, and if he would have come in and not looked very good, I think there was a good chance we might have seen Walker Howard tonight. But it's going to be a very interesting offseason. Some of the questions about that, what do you do now in the coming weeks? We've talked about it on our shows. It's going to be a whirlwind the next 2 to 3 weeks between who hits the portal, who LSU's bringing in for official visits. The tight end is committed to Cincinnati. That news broke this afternoon. We've got that on TigerBait. He's coming for a visit, the 3-star tight end that everybody's trying to steal away from Cincinnati. And we'll see if he looks at Wisconsin now that Luke Fickell's their head football coach. But I think it's looking good for LSU right now.
Some confidence in that one.
Yeah. So, but that's the tip of the iceberg. I think there's stuff that and I asked Brian Kelly Thursday on the SEC teleconference, are they running scenarios like a war room as far as what could happen in the next coming weeks? I think and it ain't just going to be Brian Kelly. It's going to be a lot of coaching staffs across the country that think they have an idea of the craziness that's going to happen, and there's going to be so much stuff coming out of left field that maybe nobody is prepared for. So maybe I'm going to be wrong, but I'm told that most college coaches believe it's going to be crazy town the next 2.5 weeks.
Mike, do you think LSU fans should be judging Brian Kelly by his ability to keep the roster intact this offseason? Because we all know what a big problem that was the last couple years. But it seems like this transfer portal is just a whirlwind.
He's going to have a lot to sell. LSU is one of the top schools in the country. It's a sexy destination. But look, there's going to be some guys that maybe think that who didn't have the type of season they wanted, that don't realize what Brian Kelly sees for them next year in a much bigger role. And he's got to communicate that with them. There's going to be a lot of...
There's never been a problem of bringing guys in. There's influx of talent to LSU, and there always has been.
It's the NIL factor, and they're plugged into that. Super chat from Rob Boudreaux. Thank you for that, Rob. I love Jaden Daniels, but he should not have started. He is hurt. That's on coaching. I disagree on that. I thought he was highly effective until he got rolled up on.
Rob, you would be shocked if you looked at his numbers, I bet. Do you realize Jaden Daniels, as gimpy and limpy as he was, he still completed 16 of 24 passes for 208 yards, a touchdown, and a freak interception. I mean, that's he was playing good football out there. He just got hurt.
Yeah, and you've got a Rama. He marches them down the field, block field goal for a touchdown, marches them down the field again for a score to match him. A ball off of Jack Besh's helmet, which was, I mean, that's like, that's something you see on Saints highlights from the 70s. I mean, that's you just knew it wasn't your night when the way that stuff started happening.
Yep.
And then you have, you're starting to make the game interesting with Nussmeier coming in. And on a 4th and 1, you put Nussmeier in the shotgun, which to me is one of the most, you guys know if you watch this show, we really have not really gotten after Den Brock a whole lot, play calling. I thought that was the most asinine play call of the year.
Why not just run a quarterback sneak there? Why are you getting so fancy? I mean, why are you doing
look,
it? If
either should have been a quarterback sneak
or just bulldoze it through.
Who knows how interesting the game might have gotten had LSU gotten scored on that drive. Certainly would have started to make Georgia fans sweat a little bit.
Now we've talked nicely about. Go ahead.
The defense wasn't doing much to stop them. I mean, look at their numbers.
Oh yeah. Well, look, you can't really blame Nussmeier or Jaden Daniels tonight. Tonight you ran the ball for 47 yards. All 47 came on one run. Your defense gave up 500 yards and 50 points. Should have been 49. They went for 2 there, which I thought was really tacky. Really classless of Kirby.
Well, Brian Kelly was asked about that in the post game about, I think it was Jock that asked it. Does your analytics tell you that they should have been going for 2 to make it 50? And he kind of hesitated a little bit and he goes, "Well, I'm just worried about us, and it's our job to stop them." But look, man, I'm telling you, look at Brian Kelly's face in most of that press conference. Like I said, his eyes were glossy. I don't know if he's wearing contact lenses and they're dry or whatever, but man, he looked like, I don't know if we're going to get, what the post game was like, but I think he probably got emotional with his players before he came out, and he's going to remember that. I believe that.
Here's what I got to say about it. I'll leave it at this. Joe Burrow never had to go for 2 to make his blowouts against Georgia look good. And Brian Kelly, get your notepad out. Write this one down. Remember it.
Mm-hmm.
Just wait till he gets top 5 recruiting classes, y'all. This roster, like we've said all year, Frankenstein, paper clips and bubble gum. This was not the roster where he's supposed to compete for a championship. It's coming.
Josh Forbes, man, don't turn this into a Nuss versus Jaden deal, people. Yeah, I don't think that's what it is at all. But look, it does. It affects you really at one position, your wide receivers, and so you can win a lot of football games with a guy like Jaden Daniels if he were to come back. But what does that do to your wide receiver room?
If you're in the bowl game, if Jaden Daniels is healthy and here, he will play. He will be your starter. There's no controversy for this year. You're not playing enough enough isn't on the line to bench him and go with another guy. It just isn't there. But 2 quarterbacks played tonight, and we're going to talk about 2 quarterbacks. And I got some good things we want to get to Nussmeier in a bit. There's plenty. Yeah. There was plenty to like about Nussmeier tonight.
Yeah, freak interception. Love the excuses. No, there's no real excuses. Georgia was far outclassing LSU tonight. Georgia deserved to win. They're a fantastic football team. We're not suggesting that had any of those things taken place, but it was, again, I think most LSU fans could have lived with, say, a 35-21 loss or something like that. For it to get ugly in a hurry, the game would have been a lot more interesting and I think a lot more palatable for LSU fans. So, Music, I don't know if you're a Georgia fan, but we're not making excuses.
Music's a regular commenter. Music's either hardcore for, I think he's a hardcore Nussmeier guy. He's been commenting for weeks on our show.
Okay. Sean Wired, polling fire tomorrow? I don't think so.
Well, that wouldn't make much sense.
But I tell you what, that would show if he did do that. He one of the things that Les Miles never did was get rid of Cam Cameron, a close friend, right? And that was to his detriment and to his that was his total undoing. But I also believe that maybe there was a chance that Cam Cameron said, Coach Miles, this is an all-new offense. And where Les Miles was, he might have believed him. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. I also look at it like, why would you get rid of him for the bowl game? I'm trying to think recruiting calendar. If you were going to get rid of him, Mike, you got this memorized much better than I do. What date would make the most sense recruiting-wise? Is it right after signing day?
Mm-hmm.
Like the early signing day you're talking about, right?
Here's one for you, Preston.
All right. Yeah, he did tell me that. But he also said LSU, he wouldn't win the big games. So, hey. He said a lot. So, whatever. Broken clock.
Well, yeah, when you say 25 things and you get 2 of them right, you get to beat your chest, don't you?
Exactly.
Lars Corville, old high school classmate of mine. Polian doesn't coach up his players. Truly pathetic.
Look, you can't make an excuse for him anymore.
Yeah, Mike, how about that coin toss?
I was making fun of you on Twitter. You saw that?
I hate that.
Yeah.
How many games did he actually defer, though? He did what? How many? He deferred a few coin toss wins.
Look, Mike, I am not about to dig into the coin toss analytics. We're going to lose half our viewers if you keep on talking about the damn coin toss.
No, you brought it up earlier.
No, I made fun of you on Twitter. He commented it.
Yep. Any indication where we wait to see? I guess it's looking citrus.
Yeah, Citrus Bowl looks like it's darn near a lock for LSU. It won't be a New Year's Six Bowl. It won't be, obviously playoff or anything like that. It looks like New Year's Six Bowl. Or the next drop down should be the Outback Bowl, but I think that'll be South Carolina. They almost always take a team out of the East. So,
Gary Williams, I think that House needs to adjust a lot more. I think Matt House just needs an infusion of talent. I think he's going to be just fine. There's a lot of missing pieces on that defense, and I think, like the whole team entirely, to me it's amazing what they were able to do this season with inheriting 39 players and a lot of defensive backs from the Sun Belt, Arkansas, and elsewhere.
Well, let me take this on real quick. Mike, did you see anybody out of place? Did you see any blown coverages? Did you see anything crazy like that tonight?
I saw poor tackling.
Okay,
I saw poor angles.
Yeah, poor. Okay, yeah,
I saw some poor angles. Well, Todd Monken is a fantastic offensive coordinator. He was at LSU. In fact, I think Todd Monken was probably the best wide receivers coach at LSU in the last 25 years. The few years that he was
Cedric
here.
Van Pran and that offensive line and those running backs out physical LSU. They ran the ball for 255. They passed it well, not super deep balls, just good medium passing. And they just got diced. It wasn't any big plays or anything like that. I think that just quite frankly, you got manhandled defensively. I'm not going to give Matt House too much. I mean, obviously he gave up 500 yards. You can't give him credit for anything, but let him get his Jimmies and Joes before we, give him to the guillotine.
Music, there's a massive controversy and Nuss will start the bowl.
Oh, come on. Get out of here. Let's say this about Nuss. Let's say some good things about Nussmeier for the Nussmeier, because Nuss earned some good comments tonight, right? He showed the brightest promise he's shown yet as an LSU Tiger. When he came in, he's slinging it deep. He's doing some things that they weren't prepared for, very obviously. And For the one run where LSU ran for 47 yards, that was clearly opened up because it was on the heels right after his big touchdown to Malik Neighbors. So he showed some promise, and of course with Nussmeier, Nuss giveth, Nuss taketh, threw an interception, completed 56% of his passes. But I'll tell you what, I don't know what a full season with Nuss would look like win-loss wise, but it'd be a roller coaster. It'd be a lot of fun.
Are we championship contenders for next year? Logic in me would say no, but I didn't see LSU doing what they did this year. So let's see what they bring in portal-wise, who stays, how well they fare, what the other schools in the league end up having as well. What are we going to see? What is going to be the average turnover of rosters across the league? Is it going to be 30%, 20%, 40%? I mean, might we see an SEC
early on? This is one of the most lively years in the transfer portal yet. So we'll just have to see, man. Maybe it's the new norm.
Yeah, and so who's able to? Which coaching staff has the ability to mesh new faces with old faces in a quicker fashion? And is that what most college football is going to look like in the coming years on a yearly basis? Is rosters turnover every year? So it's going to be interesting to see. Of course, guys, this show's brought to you by attorney Kenneth P. Haines. And let's go ahead and hear from Kenny.
Board-certified family law specialist Kenneth P. Haines is a highly skilled and experienced trial and appeal attorney with over 33 years of experience solving real legal problems for real people, specializing in all aspects of family law, divorce, support, custody, and property. Your standards are high, so are ours. For representation in Northwest Louisiana, call attorney Kenny Haines at 318-222-2100.
And, of course, Kenny is the official lawyer of TigerBait.com, and he reserves the right to think most clearly for a paying client. And Kenny's got a great thread on our Tiger Den Premium message board where he breaks down one of the legal cases for the players in NIL and NCAA, and it really got into a great debate on our message board. If you got our newsletter on TigerBait in your email box yesterday, included that as one of the better posts of the week. And it's still going. It's a really good read. Go check that out on our TigerBait premium message board, the Tiger Den. If you're not already a subscriber, give yourself a Christmas gift and subscribe. Try us out for $1 for a week. And again, always choose the annual package versus going monthly. You basically get 3 months free when you're doing that. That's what it's cheaper than doing the monthly package. All right, let's get to some more comments, and big thanks to Kenny for, again, sponsoring our post-game shows this football season.
A record-breaking night, Mike. For the first time in program history, LSU has 2 quarterbacks throw for more than 200 yards. Little interesting nugget there from Todd Politz.
Was there used to have the Risher-Wickersham
deal?
Do
not bring up Wicker. Those were not good days.
But there was that was before the offenses. I mean, I don't even know what those numbers would have looked like.
Who did God? What's his name? The Ruston Rifle. What was his name?
Burt Jones.
Who did he split time with?
I forget his name, but that
was terrible. I couldn't. You look back
because
at those highlights
because Burt Jones is second only to Joe Burrow as far as best quarterbacks at LSU of all time.
It was tremendous. You watch his highlights; it's real good. I tried watching a single game highlights. I was like,
Burt Jones,
not that good. It wasn't Burt Jones. He split time.
If Burt Jones not gotten hurt, that's it.
Paul Lyons.
Yeah, okay.
Just couldn't. He couldn't.
Yeah, there it is. Dane would know. Dane's as old as dirt. He knows.
Appreciate you. I couldn't remember.
Dane's actually in Atlanta.
I was born.
He was given a rundown of all the booze he had with him in Atlanta. I said at halftime, I said he might need some what you call it? What do they give you in hospice?
An IV.
Yeah. Blaine Smith, Perkins will probably play in Ojulari's position next season.
You think
We'll
they
see.
put him hand in the dirt? I don't know. I think they got him at the position they want him to play for the future. Someone asked if Burt Jones was better than Tommy Hodson. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'd say so.
Absolutely.
You look at that arm, dude. He could freaking sling it.
Burt Jones was the NFL Player of the Year in 1977, I believe it was, or maybe it was 8. And that's
Indianapolis Colts. That's right.
that was no Baltimore Colts. That was my team. That was my team. My whole room was Baltimore Colts because of Burt
Really?
Jones.
What happened to that?
I wasn't even a Saints guy. I was never a Saints guy. I was a Baltimore Colts because of Burt Jones.
Interesting. I grew up a Colts fan.
Had Burt Jones not gotten hurt, I'm telling you, he was special, man.
Yeah. Look, we had somebody asking us about Y.A. Tittle.
Yeah, morphine. There it is.
Oh, you talk about that stuff. Okay, I thought you would talk about some hydration here, man. You talk about morphine. Man, that's a wild time in Atlanta.
Absolutely, Joshua Forbes. Do you think Jaden Leggs have hidden a bad offensive line this year? Absolutely, it did. But it also is a deal that becomes a crutch. I mean, because there's times where you could count 8-10 seconds sometimes where Jaden had time back there, and he just wouldn't let go of it. Look, there was a whole lot of issues. You had receivers not giving 100% on routes because they didn't think the ball was coming their way. There's some stuff they got to fix in that wide receiver room, without a doubt. You've heard the Jack Bech rumors all week. I don't know how many messages I got from people in the last 24 hours. Is Bech in the portal? The Bech portal rumors have been rolling since Monday. Yeah, the safeties look like they were out of place, says Rob.
Then you could throw Matt House under the bus for that. I didn't see enough of it. I'll have to go back and watch some film to determine that.
Brian Turner, that madman Orgeron set this program back at least 3 or 4 years. Look, look. You hate to see LSU get beat like this, like they did tonight. But again, we're not trying to spin a yarn for you guys. But when you inherit 39 football players and you make it to Atlanta, that's crazy.
Here's the deal.
And by the way, with what LSU has suffered through the previous 2 seasons, in reality, knowing what most people thought this team was going 8-4 tops. In September, a lot of people after a few games said this team's going 6-6, right? How many?
Vegas
So
had them at 6.5.
having said that, what was that Alabama game worth to you? That win, right? I mean, what is that worth to you? That's bigger than any bowl game you're going to get, right?
Yeah. Well, would you
especially now?
Let's ask this: would you rather have beaten Florida State and Texas A&M, or just beat Bama?
Just beat Bama.
Yeah, just beat Bama. It's easy in my mind.
Von Bluesman, 100% right, Mike, about needing more talent. These guys are worn out, and it showed in the last 2 games. Look at the Arkansas score and the A&M score. They need backups. They're not very deep. Look, there's some guys that, there's some guys that are going to test the waters and want to go pro early. There's going to be some players that want to hit the portal because they did get the playing time. And I think there's going to be some players that Brian Kelly doesn't like the cut of their jib, as they say. He doesn't like the way they conduct themselves, and he's going to tell them to hit the road. There's going to be a little bit of everything coming. If you do the things right in his program, he wants you around. If you're not a guy who does the things right in his program, he don't want you around, and he's not going to recruit players like that either.
It will be interesting to see how well can he keep guys from going out the door that don't need to be going out the door, though, because that was the huge problem for LSU. It's been a huge problem with LSU for 10 years is how do you keep guys that should be on your campus and not either transferring out or going to the NFL for 7th-round money?
And so now that you've been relegated and getting kicked down to a Citrus Bowl after 2 weeks ago being 5th in the nation and possibly a playoff team, then you also start to wondering, okay, what are going to be the opt-outs for the bowl? Kip H, why not get a head start on the Walker Howard takeover and have him start the bowl game, nothing to lose? I don't think they would do that. And I have a hard time believing that Jaden Daniels would opt out of the bowl game. Unless we were somehow to find out the next day or two that re-aggravation of the ankle is a really bad deal and something needs to be done surgically or something. But
wouldn't that just send Nussmeier straight into the transfer portal if he just gets leapfrogged and they go straight with the true freshman? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't think that's the protocol they would do. Even if they let's say hypothetically they think Walker Howard long term is going to be better than Nussmeier. I think they would go to Nussmeier, give him the opportunity, and then if he would falter, then go to Walker.
And that applies to Jaden Daniels too. Let's say Jaden Daniels, he might come back. If you leapfrog a guy like that, you're gonna take a stick of dynamite to your quarterback room. That's all you're gonna do.
Jared Guillory, Sage Ryan, rough games. Yeah, he's a little undersized. That whole defensive back room is up for a total overhaul, just like the running backs. We know the running backs are coming. The defensive backs are coming. I like where LSU's at for Ricks and Toviano. I think there's going to be a lot of good news coming LSU's way in recruiting on top of what already's in the class and what's coming. So they're going to get it done.
I think you got 6 seniors in your defensive backfield right now. Don't be – it should be a 180 next year. You should have a lot of talented freshmen running.
You could have 2 freshmen. You could have 2 freshman starters.
At corner? Yeah.
Yeah.
Easy. If you get those 2 guys – be hard to keep them off the field.
Mike Citizen, Converse had a poor angle in the first half.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we saw a lot of that, like tackling angles. I think they're lacking the depth, and a lot of these guys aren't, I think Bernard Converse is a highly talented guy, but a lot of the guys aren't first-round type talent out there.
Big Cojones Kelly, I always like his comments. And of course, I also like his. I always like his avatar as well. But he said BK said a lot with this post-game presser. This staff and players are going to learn from this season. I think it's going to be fun to watch what Brian Kelly does in the month of December and January. I really do. I think it's going to be a master class in getting things right.
Mike, this is such a solid class already. I feel like with this class, you're lacking that cherry on top. I want you to frame this. Don't be hyperbolic or anything. Does this class have a chance to be one of LSU's best classes since you've been covering it?
I think what's going to happen is I think this is going to be the start of years in a row. I think this might be the beginning of where we hit a period years from now where we look back and we say, at that point there, meaning the class of 23, from about that era on, that's when the era of NIL started in the transfer portal. And that's the year where high school recruiting took a back seat to the portal. And so, yeah, you've got a top 5 recruiting class for the class of 23, but it might be entirely possible we're a bigger percentage of your program's success if you include that in the pie with transfer portal in high school recruits, where the transfer portal takes away a good percentage of building your program away from the high school hall. I think it's gonna start the shift of what matters.
I think programs that can get freshmen and keep them on campus, the few who are able to do it and keep a coaching staff intact for the most part, you're able to get those 3-4 year continuity in place in chemistry. I think those programs are going to be the one that shine in this era. Whereas the classes where you're having to bring in players from God knows what scheme, God knows where at every single year, the one and done situation for college football. I think that those teams are going to have trouble stacking up against players who have been there for a long time. So I think the kind of success Brian Kelly wants to build, and he said this, he wants to build it through high school with adding some from the transfer portal. I don't think we're talking 12 or 13 transfer portal guys this year. Do you?
Could be. It could be.
Oh boy, that'd be.
It
wild.
could be because when you're told in August, September that the numbers 26 to 31, that's where it was then. What is it when you have a handful of guys hit the portal? Then you start adding. And so LSU's had a couple of decommitments, right? Defensive linemen.
2 guys, right?
Okay. Rather than go reach on an overweight defensive tackle that's barely a 3-star or maybe a solid 3-star, but is actually a guy that you probably won't get anything out of if you do until year 2. That's why it's going to be basically like it was asked of Sankey the other day. It is free agency. You're much better off going out and get a guy in the portal.
Go get the 5-star edge rusher that's going to be on your campus for an official visit in 3 days, Nichols Harbor.
Right. But I'm saying if you need numbers, don't go reach on some high school kids and see what you can get late. No, you go to the portal.
No,
you're
I agree,
LSU.
I agree. The thing that blows my mind is not necessarily that I'm opposed to the transfer portal. Let me clarify this. It's that you would be talking about bringing in 26, 27, 28 kids in your recruiting class and then adding 12 from the transfer portal. You're going to bring in 40 players to this football team. That's like Bear Bryant stuff back in the day when he would bring in 50 players a year just so they wouldn't go play against his rivals.
Joshua Forbes, Mike, picking up Preston's question, how long have you been covering LSU? Since the early 90s. I started with a radio show, a sports talk radio show in Lafayette in 1992 or 3. I think it was 2. And then my first website, TigerBait. It wasn't called TigerBait yet, but I'm the oldest running website. I think it started 97, if that's right, and a day before Thanksgiving. And then a month later, Dandy Don started.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but this is my 26th year.
The OG.
Brian Turner, LSU needs an army of defensive linemen and linebackers to fix this front 7 issues. Yeah, they do. They need defensive backs. They got running backs coming because that position needed to be rebuilt. I think you're going to need a good number of wide receivers. And might they go to the portal to get a really good wide receiver if one gets in there? But what a game did Malik Neighbors have today? I started the show with not many bright spots or things to hang your hat on, but I will give Malik Neighbors his due once the ball started flying. And of course, Keyshawn Butte, I had made a post in that he wasn't getting any separation, and boom, he took one to the house.
Which, by the way, didn't that look just like all his old touchdowns he used to get?
Yeah, it looked like some old Keyshawn Butte.
Look, this guy he even paid in euros.
I like it. You want to talk it? You want to talk with an accent? Hello, I am a brainless.
I am brainless gentleman who likes Bama and the Giants. Those two New England have a good chat. Dude, we don't do foreign accents today. The Dutch knocked out USA of the World Cup. I am pissed off.
Well, I love this guy, and I want him back. So
that's funny. No, I love the commitment.
Thank you for the super chat, Stefan.
Character, though, with the currency.
Now, I want to know, I'm saying Stefan or is it Stefan?
Stefan.
Welcome to the show, and we're glad to have you with us. And
you missed the last super chat. Did you see it?
You can switch to LSU from Bama, and nobody will be mad here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Dane, here he is. Sorry, Dane. Class of 2039 is looking good for LSU. Preston, Blake, and T-Bob having new additions in the past 2 weeks. T-Bob had Bobby the fourth.
Yeah.
yesterday. All right, congrats to T-Bob, and I'll put my money on Bobby the Fourth having a chance to being a 4-star prospect in
Look, don't hate
17
on
years.
In
17 years.
Blake had to have a girl because you know what? That'd be one heck of an offensive line coming up in about, what is that, 17 years?
Yeah, sorry, Dane. I got it. I got you. Thanks to Preston for alerting me to it. Scooby, time for LSU to move away from the smaller frame defensive ends. Bad far outweighs the good. Reason we don't get consistent pressure. I'm really looking forward to seeing Quincy Wiggins next year. More of Savion Jones. Let's see what happens if they bring Harbor in. You got Jackson Harbor. And of course, Deshaun Womack. What about the playoffs, man? What about some surprises there? I am shocked that Catholic High was beat by John Curtis last night. Couldn't believe that LCA Turling score, and Dunham beating U High. That blew me away.
That shocked me too. Dunham's going.
Yeah,
to
and this is another one. Fire bringing up Brother Martin stomping Karen Crow. That blew me away. But that one, I say it blew me away. That one not as much as Catholic losing. John Curtis got handled by Carr easily. Just 3-4 weeks ago, end of the season, regular season, and then Catholic beat Carr, and then John Curtis comes to Baton Rouge and beats Catholic. Stefan's back. The World Cup in Arabia is soccer, not football. I love your passions about college football. For me, that is a huge heritage of LSU history. Man, I'm loving this European flavor we got here.
Said US
yeah, Westgate also got beat. Yep, but that was Destrehan. Kenny Haines, Scooby 7061. You must be from my hometown on Moss Bluff. I didn't know that Kenny was in here tonight. Fire 3449. Mike, how much do we miss Mason Smith? I think probably a good bit, although you guys kind of know the thing about Mason, which I was looking forward to seeing this season, was him coming to his own and be, how good was he going to be against the run? There's a lot of player personnel people out there that really have this thing. If you want to talk about analytics, there's some analytics out there about guys who are 6'6", 6'7", being defensive linemen and how effective they can be on every down. And I think that was something a lot of people were wanting to see from Mason this season. We didn't get a chance to see it. That's why people suggest that, while he could be an all-SEC defensive lineman, he would be a shoo-in for an offensive tackle or an offensive lineman. But guys like him who started on the defensive line, they're just not doing that. LSU recruiting Harvey Broussard. Derek, I have not heard anything in a while. I went and filmed Harvey. He's a good football player. And I don't know what where he's at on their board, but it kind of looked. I saw what you're doing.
I was going to save it. I was going to save it for a spot, but I'll go ahead and spoil it. Mike Scarborough has been doing
that's the Wayback Machine
so long. This is what his site looked like when he started doing it.
What year was that? Read me a headline.
This is actually 2001. Let's see. LSU.
Well, that's the first year.
LSU courting California linebacker Scott White. Rivals 100 from San Diego Mission Bay.
Look at
LSU Arkansas game notes.
Those of you who are old, look at that Tiger Gifts ad. See that? Tiger Gifts was in Metairie on Severn.
Zoom in on it. LSU football commits Lester Richard, Justin Vincent, Skylar Creed, Garrett Weibel, Brian Anderson, Jason Spadoni, Jeff Cook, Blair Irvin. I know a few of these guys.
Yep, all good guys.
Lester Richard, he went to Tulane. He transferred out. But Justin Vincent, Skylar Gray.
That was the first year of Rivals 2.0 after Rivals had went bankrupt when the internet crashed right before George W. Bush got inaugurated, right at the end of the Clinton deal. When all the internet companies, it was a big internet bubble burst, and Rivals went out of business, and then the guys in Nashville went in and bought the assets and reclaimed the name, and that's how we got started. Okay.
Anyways, that's fun. All right, we'll take that down. It's just wild looking at what the internet was, man.
I haven't seen that. I've done some Wayback Machine on the old Alliance Sports site before that.
Is that what you were? You were with Alliance Sports?
Which Alliance Sports got bought by Rivals.
Okay. Gosh, you predate Rivals. How about that?
Boy, I could tell you stories about Rivals back in the day. Larry Thomas, any word on Harbor coming on a visit at 6'5"? Yeah, he's coming. Was it the 16th?
No, I think it's the 6th. I think it's the 6th. The 16th is goodness.
Yeah, he is coming.
It's either
though.
Taviano or Ricks. It's Ricks. Ricks is on the 16th.
There you go.
But yeah, he's coming next week. So LSU, you better get your red rug out and roll it and get this boy in here because you need him. And by the way, his recruiting process, really quiet. Not too many people know what's going on with him.
Dane Bergeron, analytics are for nerds. I like Coach Mulkey's philosophy, coach from your gut. I walked into the room yesterday, and Grant, who is the LSU Women's Sports Information Director, had a big smile on my face because he was happy to see me because I was the only one there for Mulkey and for her press conference because everybody else is in Atlanta. And because, man, I think he was happy to see me because there was going to be somebody there. Luckily, another guy came, but it was me and the guy from the Advertiser, Gannett, that got her, had her. He and I were going back and forth with her for 11 minutes. But Mulkey's been fantastic. Big game tomorrow in New Orleans for the women's team against Tulane.
I'll say this, though.
I think they have a good crowd for that one.
She don't like analytics, but you don't make decisions in basketball based off the data. You don't have to sit there and decide, do I kick a field goal or do I, go for two here? The analytics help you with decision making much more so in football.
Guys, if you're enjoying the show, please hit that like button for us. Do us that favor. And if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please hit that subscription button and notification bell before you head out. You guys have been fantastic with the growth of our channel and spreading the word. And share this show. Share this show to your Facebook feed, your Twitter, any of the LSU groups you're part of. And absolutely text the link to your buddies to their cell phones. Tell them about TigerBait. Much appreciated when you guys do that. Rick's is on the 16th. Thanks, Chance.
Off the top of my head, too. I'm usually not like super good on those details off the top of my head. I have to kind of go look up the notes.
I drink too many Diet Cokes. That's starting to affect me.
Yeah, no, I feel it.
Todd Harris, just think this program will look completely different with BK. This year was just his getting thing. Todd, I think a lot of people are like you. Even though you have a day like today and it was a miserable football game for LSU fans to watch, I think a lot of people are still excited about because the confidence that they have in Brian Kelly and what he's doing, what he's done in a quick period of time. Like we said earlier in the show, and inherited 39 players and pieced it together to get LSU to Atlanta. Had no business being there. Got him there. And so what's going to happen but this NIL deal, we're going to see how this shakes out. I think every coach in the country is probably going in the next few weeks thinking they've got a handle on what's going to happen, and then they're going to realize they don't. How many times is a coach going to say, so-and-so, he's good, we're good with him, and then they're not? Were they coach, Joe Blow got in the portal. What? Yeah, there's going to be a lot of coaches get caught off guard, I think. And I'm not saying that's going to happen to Brian Kelly more than others, but I think it's going to happen to a lot of coaches across the country.
Well, and is it possible to recruit 150 players on your roster every single year, realistically? Mm-hmm. That's going to be wild.
No, I'm pretty sure Brian Kelly and his assistants, coordinators say, look, if you want to get in the portal, just please come talk to us first. Don't blindside us. Let's talk it through. We're not going to talk yet. But, I think that they probably set the stage with the whole room and in each position room where they've implored those guys, don't do anything until you've had either an exit interview or you've talked to us first. Great show tonight. Hello from Nashville. I really like Nuss tonight. Greg Myers. Thanks, Greg, for the comment. 256 Moxley. Any clue who may transfer? No. I brought Jack Besh a few times tonight because it ran rampant in the last 24 hours. It got out but there's a combination of who's going to hit the portal, who's going to opt to go pro. Like I said, it's going to be guys like me and Preston and everybody in the media are going to be punch drunk from how quick the news and how fast and furious things are going to be happening in the next 2.5 weeks.
And Mike, let me ask this, just getting on to the big fish here. At quarterback, there's no way all three of those guys are back on campus next year, are they?
No.
All right. Well, then
I'd be shocked.
Kind of a way to look. Okay, if one guy doesn't go pro, then you might want to look,
Yeah. Let me scroll down and see if there's anything we need to get to. Stefan Vocal, where did Lawrence Taylor play before? Well,
UNC,
besides the
baby.
Giants.
The Tar Heels.
There you go.
The real LT.
Another,
Hey, I want to put this.
now I need to know what
comment
that.
up here.
I need to know what that exchange rate. I need to know what that exchange rate is for these super chats from Stefan.
Hold up.
It's actually probably better than American dollars right now.
Actually, no. I think American dollars actually surpassed the euro recently because there's been so much, global chaos with currency and stuff. So the joke was
that the euro? Was that the euro? Was that the euro or the pound?
That's the euro. Yeah, no, the pounds.
Okay.
Hey, check out this comment by Music. Katz needs to sign an NIL deal with Nuss. The Nuss bus.
Swerve, I don't blame Besh for leaving if Jaden Daniels is back. Fire 3449 with Jaden Daniels' injuries does this make it more likely to go to the NFL? I wonder what his grade is going to be. And does he just say, you know what, I'm gone? I tend to think he's gone no matter what. He's going to take his chance.
Do you think Nussmeier throwing for 300 yards in half a football game kind of increases the odds that he just, lets his eligibility expire and goes off to the NFL?
I don't know if that has any bearing on it. Maybe. Look, he's in a real tight situation. And look, he's obviously he and his mom are going to sit down and talk about it. But he's in an area there where it could go either way. But I tend to think that he'll probably revert back to what his original plan was before he even got to Baton Rouge, and that was to play a year at LSU and then go pro. And then let's say that happens. Let's say he does go pro. In that scenario, you got Nussmeier, Walker Howard, and Ricky Collins coming at midterm. And then you start to project, let's say hypothetically, if one of those two quarterbacks win the job, what does the other one do? So you can see a real scenario then where Brian Kelly's like, you know what, we need to go back to the portal and get another quarterback. Because you don't want like I've been saying all year, you don't want your number two quarterback to be a true freshman in Ricky Collins, who does absolutely need a redshirt year.
Which, by the way, there's no shortage of quarterbacks in the transfer portal. I looked at a list already.
Yeah, but
It's about
are
20
any of them
names
any
long.
good?
It's insane.
Yeah, but are any of them any good?
Well, some of them were. So the kid from Michigan transferred out, the McNamara kid. He went to
All right,
Iowa.
But then it's like in the position where LSU's at right now, you don't go get one right now. I don't think LSU goes and gets one until they've gone through spring football.
Well, and you don't want to get a kid who's going to run off Nussmeier or Walker Howard because you've got two guys who are legit arms right now, very talented guys. You don't go in and bring in a guy who's going to be like a fourth-year senior. I don't think you bring in Jaden Daniels again, the equivalent of Jaden Daniels, not literally Jaden Daniels, like another Jaden Daniels who's a plug-and-play guy, because those guys are going to be sitting here like, what the hell? I've been sitting here, coach. I'm waiting to play. Why you keep on bringing guys in front of me?
Swamp Cat, Jaden Daniels is not getting drafted. I'd like to know what the high in what the highest it's some particular analyst might have him at, and what the average is.
I don't see him going undrafted. That'd be crazy.
I think he gets drafted, but I think fourth round would be the absolute highest. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, if he comes back and plays well another year, how much do you think he can improve that?
I don't know that gets any better.
I agree. I've said that for a long time.
I think he is what he is.
I agree. I think he is what he is, and I don't see much way he's going to improve it. Of course, that's not what coaches should be telling him. Coaches can say, "I've got the key, man. One more year, we're going to work on that. We're going to work on that deep ball, and your over the top passes, and we'll get you a first rounder."
Greg Myers making us a quarterback, and watch what happens to the receivers. Dane Bergeron, you're finally starting to make sense, Preston. The Gilbo curse is wearing off.
Been here the whole time. Don't call it a comeback, homie.
There you go. 5 euros is worth $5.27.
We take that. Although I am a little offended.
I knew the euro.
was
I
worth
knew the
more.
dollar was falling.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go down that road.
We got to get those numbers back up, man. Those are rookie numbers. Can't let the Brits, or no, I guess everybody but the Brits, the Euros, have a higher value.
Elections have consequences.
Oh, come on now. No politics on the show.
Oh, that's General Grievous, I think Jaden tried to be Burrow too much by showing us he can run, but in doing so, he neglected the wide receivers.
By the way, did you see that touchdown for Nussmeier that looked just like Joe Burrow's touchdown against Georgia? You know what I'm talking about? He kind of broke out of a tackle, ran around, and threw it downfield for a touchdown. That was pretty.
Swerve, Jaden Daniels in a skills competition, the combine could bump him more. And that's it, Swerve. I think Jaden Daniels with that 21 miles an hour, he gets that ankle 100% healthy. He goes to one of those gurus and he spends 2 months where all he does is train for the combine. And, and then maybe also with like a Jordan Palmer, which I know he's been hooked up with before. All of a sudden he starts to scale. There's enough NFL teams who highly covet a quarterback with his dual threat ability, and there's a lot, and that's where a lot of NFL teams have gone.
You recognize his icon? It's the YouTube video guy talking
Yes.
about rating girls.
What was it? The Vortex. These
are your unicorns. These don't exist. Now this is your fun zone.
yes.
Here.
I think I pulled it up about once a year just to laugh. And then when you show it to a BFF, they roll their eyes at you. Dylan wants to know if Brian Polian is gone yet. No word on Brian Polian yet.
He's
Absolutely.
standing right next to Brian Kelly all game long with that yellow hat. I could see Polian shifting back into kind of more of like a GM type role, player management, help with recruiting type stuff, because he is a good recruiter. And, he does bring a lot of those GM type skills to the table, but I think on the field it's just hasn't been great for him.
Big Cojones Killed Neighbors had positive words for Nuss. That says a lot, in my opinion. It does. Malik Neighbors has been fantastic all season long. Mike, are you surprised that Willie Fritz didn't leave Tulane? They won today. I really like Coach Fritz. Had a chance to kind of mingle with him a bit at LSU football camps. You know, when all the coaches come to be there on campus, and Brian Kelly extended that tradition that Miles and Orgeron had, or it was Orgeron, wasn't it?
I think Orgeron started it. Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, Miles doing it was Orgeron, and Fritz is a nice guy, good guy.
I'm surprised Georgia Tech preferred to promote the.
I think that
I would not have done that.
I think he's Tulane. He could make Tulane a better job than Georgia Tech.
No, you can't. No. That's a group unless they're going to the Big 12.
I'm talking about long term.
Well, they got to go to a Power 5 conference though. They not in their current conference. They can't.
I'm just talking about job security wise. He could stay at Tulane a long, long time.
Oh yeah, easy.
And believe, was there any details of him staying with a pay increase?
No, I haven't seen a pay increase.
I assure you, there had to have been one.
You see, Coach Prime's going to Colorado. That's pretty wild. I'm surprised actually that he didn't land just a slightly higher profile gig.
No, that's a program that's very difficult. But a lot of people, if you've been to Boulder, say they can understand why it's hard there. But if you can get kids to visit, how beautiful it is there.
Oh yeah, those mountains, real pretty. Second best live mascot out there. I saw a live mascot rating from Barstool this week. They had Mike at like 8th, and I'm like, look, if it's a farm animal or a pet, it's not better than Mike the Tiger. That one, that might be Ralph, and he actually goes to the field.
Guys, hit that like button if you're enjoying the show, and we've already got Laura Nurk. I had to scroll up to get you. I saw you early. She goes, "I faithfully watch y'all after each game, even at 1 a.m. Gonna miss y'all after the bowl game. Gonna be a long 9 months." Well, thanks for the kind words, Laura. And we're actually talking about bringing on more shows to the channel. Of course, they won't be post-game football shows. But we're working on some other content items. That's the great thing about YouTube. You really only need a cell phone. You can go live. We can go live anytime, anywhere. But I think we're piecing together some ideas, possibly a baseball show as well. So,
and keep in mind, you and Buddy every Wednesday night all year round. I do Tuesday night. I try to bring on an interesting guest and have a show every Tuesday night. We'll be going live until National Signing Day.
Well, the thing with Buddy is so fantastic. I want Buddy. I keep talking to him about it. I would like to be able to broadcast his daily show. He does a show every day from 1 to 3. I'd like to be able to broadcast his show on our channel.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
because his current link is not great. It's pretty rough.
Yeah, but it's a matter of getting him the equipment and him wanting to turn it on and navigate the 5 or 6 things you got to do in order to go live. But I think he would be. I think Buddy with his daily show. I mean, he has great guests every day. I mean, he has Jacques on once a week. He has me on I've been doing Jacques' show every Wednesday since the mid-'90s.
Buddy's like your hidden gem that's completely hidden to the internet, except for the TigerBait YouTube channel right now, and it's a good thing.
Well, he's on that app, the TuneIn app.
It's like, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's there, but yeah, it's not great. I think it's only live. I can't like rewind or do anything when I tune in. But Mike, when you and Buddy sit at that table next to each other, how much combined experience covering LSU sports, like LSU media?
Buddy started in the mid to late 80s. The first ever ESPN game day that ever came to Baton Rouge did a segment on Buddy.
Really?
Yeah, like they did a segment with Buddy's show in it with Chris Fowler.
So mid 80s, and you started.
No, this would have been the 90s. The first college game day where they went on the road, that didn't start happening until the 90s.
But he started doing it in the mid 80s, is what you're saying.
Right. And
All right,
that's
so
when
you
you had,
started doing it mid-'90s, right?
yeah, his show.
So sounds to me a lot like doing a little bit of math. You're right at 26. So he's probably at 35. So when y'all sit at that table next to each other, we're talking about 60 years of LSU media coverage experience. I would wager there's not another table on any sports show with more experience locally in our market.
Probably.
Probably. If someone could
Kenny,
think of one,
Kenny
let me know.
Haines with a super chat. There we go. Thanks, Kenny. Of course, he sponsors the show already, so there you
Double
go.
dipping.
All right, guys. Thanks for everybody tuning in. Hit the like button on the way out, subscribe button, notification bell, and we've got Brian Kelly already on the. It's a full press conference. You have Brian Kelly, Malik Neighbors, and Makai Garner in the post game. It's all one video. Go check that out. Preston's game story's up on TigerBait. We've got a lot of recruiting coming your way. So go to TigerBait and subscribe. And Preston will see you Tuesday night. I'll see you Wednesday night.
See y'all later.
All right, guys. Good night. Thank you. Texas Tiger right at the end. Let me get him. There you
Right
go.
inside
Thanks,
the
Texas
thing.
Tiger. All right. Thank you.
Now, Bay. Now you can tell Bay we're finished.
I'm trying to hit the